welcome to the Backlot 605 podcast. I am one of your hosts. I am Casey Gelderman.
I'm Brian.
Just Brian?
I'm just Brian.
Just Brian.
Just Brian.
And we are joined, once again, by Chris.
Glad to be here.
He's glad to be here.
He sounds so much better, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
I like this microphone.
So I'm the only one going to go off the last name basis, so I'm going to get stalked on the internet.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah. Or on IMDb.
Yeah.
You are on IMDb.
I guess I am. Anyway, we got some stuff to talk about this week. Relatively slow news week for movies, but we'll talk about what we got. We got some first look at the West Side Story, some of their casting news. But the main topic for this week, we're bringing it back because it scared everybody when we played it the first time.
What did we play the first time?
We called it Sophie's Choice the first time, where we pit two movies together, and one will live on forever and one will die along with all of our dreams.
For at least for this episode.
Just for this episode. But this week we're going to change the title of it because we got to make it something relatively similar to what we're doing, and it has to relate to our gimmick, I guess.
We have a gimmick.
We have a gimmick because we're just a bunch of schmucks sitting in a room talking about movies.
Hey, we've upgraded at least.
Hey, we have.
We've gone from a basement to an apartment to a house.
So we're moving up in the world.
So we kind of went up, down, back.
Brian, they got to think we're in a studio, Brian.
We're in a studio.
We're in a studio. Anyway, we're calling it Schmuck's Choice.
The Schmuck's Choice.
So we got all three of us here. One of these movies will live on forever. One will die. Who will win?
A horrible, horrible death.
Dun, dun, dun. Anyway, before we get to that, we're going to jump to the stuff we usually talk about every week, including the box office and the news. But let's start off with the box office. Toy Story 4 coming in number one, $118 million. Big weekend for Pixar, blowing everything else out of the water this weekend. What do you guys think about these numbers?
I'm shocked. Call me super shocked.
Is that sarcasm or?
Extremely.
Okay. Sarcasm doesn't really play well over just audio, Brian. You need to elaborate.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Again, sarcasm. No, this is not surprising at all. The only thing we'll talk about is the next movie, Child's Play, at number 2, that I think was a little bit of, not really the surprise, but the one that underperformed, I think. But Toy Story 4 blowing everything out of the water.
Nobody has an option to be able to perform normally by going up against Toy Story. So there's no such thing as underperforming this week.
That Child's Play marketing was trying pretty hard to go up against Toy Story.
Well, no. They were trying hard to go up against Toy Story so they didn't get completely left in the dust. But
here they are left in the dust.
It's, again, because it's Toy Story.
It is Toy Story. So, Brian, you had the chance to watch Toy Story.
Yes, literally within the last hour I just finished it.
What are your quick thoughts on the film, as well as do you think the quality of the film will match up to these numbers here?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely match up for quality. I mean, if there's one thing that I mean, even just looking at the movie and for the sake of the computer animation and knowing what this franchise looked like 25 years ago, holy shit. It is an absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, movie in terms of, the fur looks like fur, the porcelains look like porcelain. And I mean, it's just overall just great. I don't think myself personally it has that same I want to cry at the end like you did at the end of Toy Story 3. But all of the added toys and added characters that were introduced into this movie does not take away from all the existing ones. Bo Peep has an amazingly huge role in comparison to what she's had in the past. Keanu Reeves absolutely kills it as, the stunt toy. Key and Peele hold their own in terms of theirs. I don't remember who's supposed to play Forky.
Tony Hale.
That makes
Arrested Development.
Oh, I know who Tony Hale is, but you say that, and I immediately go, that makes so much fucking sense. I wouldn't necessarily call it post-credit scenes, but other than that, during the before like the main credits start, and they're just kind of showing who's starring in it and who's like the producers, something like that. There's some quick clips of various different toys, including the one at the very, very end with Forky. So I definitely say stay to watch through the rest of those because it's definitely worth it. But overall, It's definitely worth the $118 million that it's brought in.
Yeah, I haven't had the chance to watch it, but I'm gonna be definitely gonna check it out in the theater because it's Toy Story.
It's Toy Story.
It is Toy Story. One movie I'm not gonna check out in the theater, Child's Play.
You were behind.
I was.
You were totally behind this, and all of a sudden, literally, like right before opening weekend, you're like, you put on the brakes hardcore.
I slammed on the brakes. I read some interviews with Don Mancini, the original creator, and just the way the studio treated him on this project. I'm like, yeah, you guys can, if you want to go do your remake and reboot, whatever, do it. I won't be there. I'll watch the TV series they're going to work on, but besides that, yeah, I'm good on this iteration of Chucky. But this iteration of Chucky did bring in $14 million its first weekend, $10 million budget. You know, it's a horror movie. It's going to make its money back the first weekend, even if it's good or bad. And it obviously has brand recognition behind it. I've heard mixed things on it, but, I mean, $14 million up against Toy Story is not terrible, but I don't think it was ideal for what they were shooting for.
Now, at the same time, too, you made reference to the fact that with their marketing and going up against Toy Story, they were doing a pretty good job of, poking fun at the bear kind of thing, at the 600-pound gorilla. I don't think they've broken even yet because they did have a hell of probably quite a bit of marketing. So you figure they probably are still before the break-even point, easily.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, the marketing alone is probably another $10 million at least.
Well, they probably hired everybody at Pixar to do their posters because holy shit.
Yeah.
God,
those are great posters. I love those
freaking
posters.
love those posters.
I've seen one online where the toys enact their revenge, and it's Sid's demonic toys from the first Toy Story, putting Chucky in a blender.
This is a thing?
Yes, it's a legit thing. Look it up. It's awesome.
Did Pixar do this or
No,
what?
no, Pixar did not do this.
Because
No.
I tell you what, that'd been even better.
No, it's some fan art, but it looks awesome. But yeah, that's Child's Play number 2 this weekend, $14 million. Disney sticking in that top 3 with Aladdin, $12.2 million, bringing its total domestic gross to $287 million. Still making pretty big money, Aladdin.
It's over 800 million worldwide, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think this weekend helped with Toy Story being there. Families are going to be in the theater already, so if they couldn't, make a screening of Toy Story, Aladdin's probably their second best bet.
Exactly.
And yeah, I don't think this is a surprise at all that Aladdin's sticking around this long. Number 4 this week, Men in Black International, $10.7 million. Still going to be a definite bomb for Sony.
Yep.
So Sony dropping bombs, they never do that.
Yeah, they drop a lot of bombs. $52 million domestically against a $110 million budget. Woof.
Do they at least have anything international to help try to make up for that?
To help with Men in Black International?
Barely.
I don't have those numbers. I'll let you guys look that up.
All of a sudden you said, I was like, touche, salesman.
The only real other thing I want to bring up here is, because we brought it up in previous weeks, Dark Phoenix is how it's bombing very hard.
Oh, it's not even bombing hard. It's literally like...
Nosedive.
It nosedive, barely even got off of the ground.
So, the couple numbers looking at Dark Phoenix this week. 61.5% drop at the box office, but the big change right here for me that I'm looking at, it dropped 1,667 theaters this week.
Jeez.
Oh, that's just a couple.
Just a couple. Over a third of what they were in.
Because you know why? You guarantee those theaters are like, you know what? We need that space for
Toy Story.
We need the Toy Story, and we're not making any money here, so we're going to close up shop on Dark Phoenix.
This movie's going to be out of the actual theaters, I bet, within 2 weeks max.
Can I bring up the Men in Black International, which I think is actually kind of funny?
All right.
71% of its box office gross is international.
I mean, makes sense.
So it's at 182 on 110. So, depending on their marketing, they're almost there.
Yeah, break even.
They might just break even.
Will Sony give us a sequel?
I hope not.
Yeah. They're going to be like, Will Smith, we'll pay you a bunch of money. Please be in this one. Please.
We need Will Smith, Tommy Lee Jones. We need to somehow bring Zed back from the dead.
Or Josh Brolin, at least. I don't know.
God, I do have to say, having rewatched the original trilogy, not too long ago here, probably one of the best lines from that is making fun of the fact that Josh Brolin doesn't look 26 because he's playing a much younger version of himself. And Will Smith is like, Man, there's a lot of miles on you.
All right, so that's the box office for the week. That's the big news. Toy Story #1.
Shocker.
Let's jump to the news for the week. This week we got our first look at Steven Spielberg's West Side Story.
Now, here's my first question. As much as actually this is the original West Side Story is one of my favorite musicals. Not my top. My top probably belongs to The Sound of Music. Do you think this is a necessary need to be remade?
If Spielberg wasn't doing it, then
No.
there'd be a lot more backlash, I would say.
Yeah,
Yeah, but even still, I mean, even the fact that it is Spielberg, and which I do agree with you, depending on who you have attached to it, you would have a whole hell of a lot of backlash. But I mean, even Spielberg, like, there's certain things that don't necessarily need to be remade. Like, I mean, obviously by looking at the image here, that they're keeping with the 50s theme. But at the same time too, it's like, okay, if you're not per se updating the story or something like that, is it necessary?
I think on this case right here for West Side Story, yes.
Why?
Because I look at West Side Story, came out 50s, 60s?
61.
61. So that movie...
And still holds up for,
It does. I'm not saying that, but you are also a movie nerd.
Okay.
I'm a movie nerd.
Okay.
We're going to go back and watch these movies from the 60s. People relatively my age or younger are not going to go watch a movie from 1960. It's outdated. It's old. It's not with the times. But if this new West Side Story with a hot young star, Ansel Elgort,
Okay.
who's teen heartthrob, that's a draw right there. Like, if this is what it takes to get people to watch a story like West Side Story on the big screen and actually take that story in, and this is the route that you have to go with a remake, I think that's worthy.
All right.
This is one that I think is worthy because it's, even looking at some other musicals, like I'll take Grease for example. I think Grease is still, that original Travolta, Olivia Newton-John movie is still relevant today.
And it's still too new. For as old as it is, it's still too new. Like, I'm getting where you're going with that beat based on the fact this is from 61. You are going to have a lot of those people who are going to have no idea.
Yeah.
Nope. And I will give you that credit for that. Is you're bringing back something that maybe has lost its cultural relevance. But something like Grease. Grease has not died since it came out, basically. And there's other ones that I think that if you did try to run that gamut, you go for the, because we live in this life of everything needs to be remade and rebooted and everything like that. And that's where my original thought is it necessary?
Jumping off what you just said, where everything gets remade and rebooted and reimagined, how is it taking it this long to get this remade?
Because
That's the real question here. It's not the fact that it is, it's the fact that it's taken this long.
I don't even think that. I think it's because the fact that it probably, for many instances, well, number one, that if this is being worked on now, that conversation has come up probably multiple times in how many decades.
Yeah.
But it probably every studio going, we can't do that. That's you can't remake West Side Story.
The studios don't give two shits. If they're going to make money on it, they're going to remake it. They remade Ben-Hur.
Badly.
They did. This is Steven Spielberg we're talking about here, not whoever the hell did Ben-Hur. But
I believe the original Ben-Hur is not the original also, isn't it?
No, I don't believe so. I don't believe
The
Charleston
one
Heston.
that we all think of is not the original.
not the classic is not the Same with like Scarface or looking at Wizard of Oz. Like, these aren't the original movies.
And
So
that is why I don't have problems with remakes all the time.
no, I think West Side Story is primed for a remake, and if you have frickin' Steven Spielberg, one of the greatest directors ever, behind it, I think you have a money making machine right here.
Ben-Hur 1959 is a remake of the 1925 silent film of the similar title.
Yep, it's Hollywood. They're gonna remake everything.
But at least that one did take almost 25 years or 35 years.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of remakes, though,
Okay.
Star is Born.
we got another remake. The Star is Born has been remade a dozen times. We're gonna remake it.
3.
We're gonna remake
It's
it.
only been remade 3 times, and the originals. There's 4.
So there's 4. We're gonna remake it next week, I think.
Don't you be messing with Lady Gaga.
Oh, we're gonna take out Lady. And no. Anyway, let's move on to this other remake Blumhouse is set to begin production pretty soon on what they're titling it Halloween 2.
That's weird.
Because that makes no sense. Technically, in this timeline, this is Halloween 3.
Or or just in the sake of instances, this would be the third Halloween too.
And this is also the third Halloween 2. I hate that. Like, fix your title. But anyway, it's supposed to begin production soon with a set release date October 16, 2020.
Why don't we just call it Myers or Michael or something?
My title would be The Shape.
Why would you? What?
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay, you gotta give me backstory.
Michael
here.
Myers in the first original Halloween script and in the credits, he's not credited as Michael Myers. He's called The Shape. In John Carpenter's original script, he's never called Michael Myers.
Okay, so going back to your instance of, 1961 and updating movies and stuff like that, and the nerds that are who are the movie nerds, and everything like that, right? Nobody's gonna get that reference if you titled it The Shape. The only people
call it Halloween The Shape.
Yeah, that probably would confuse them even more. They're gonna be like, "What the fuck, dude?"
No. I think it's enough in the lexicon of who Michael Myers is now that most people that are going to go watch this movie are going to get it.
Nah.
You're going to put frickin' his mask on the poster. They're going to know what movie you're talking about.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
They won't do it.
No, they won't.
They
They'll
won't.
keep it as fucking Halloween 2.
Well.
Which makes no goddamn sense. Just call it Halloween Returns or some other bullshit title like that.
Halloween 2.0.
Halloween
Michael
2.
didn't die in the fire.
Yeah. Halloween Hell Rises or something. I don't know.
No, because then they'll get it confused with Hellraiser, and they'll think there's a Hellraiser crossover or something.
Make it happen. Michael versus Pinhead. Anyway,
God,
I don't know.
I always hated those movies.
That was kind of the big news. Jamie Lee Curtis is set to return. She's been teasing it with a couple pictures of her talking to Jason Blum. So yeah, I think that's a done deal that she will be in this next film.
And I don't know if I like that as a birthday present.
What? You don't want a Halloween as your birthday present?
No.
I would.
Nah.
All right. Fine. I'm not buying Brian Halloween tickets for his birthday.
You wouldn't anyway.
No, I wouldn't. We got a new casting news here for Bill and Ted 3. We talked about who was playing Bill and Ted's daughters a few weeks ago. This week we got who was playing the villain. And that is Anthony Kerrigan. He was most known for playing Victor Zsasz in Gotham.
Mr. Zsasz.
And,
I liked him as Mr. Zsasz.
He was also in The Flash as another villain.
Well, who was he in The Flash?
Like The Mist, I think he was called.
Oh, that would have been after I stopped watching.
Yeah, I don't know. He might have been like first season 2. I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway, he looks like a villain. He definitely looks like a villain.
Well, at least as his Mr. Zsasz, he's actually kind of creepy as hell as that bald guy. He reminds me of the guy from The Hills Have Eyes. I don't remember his name, but the guy from Hills Has Eyes that has a legitimate, like, not disfigure, but a certain physical element where
he has a deformity.
Well, not a deformity. Well, yeah, but anyway, so he can't, have. So that's who he reminds me of.
Michael Berryman.
Yes.
If you look at this guy, Anthony Kerrigan, with hair and a beard, he looks like a straight up normal dude. So that's not his normal look.
I don't know if I've ever noticed him.
Yeah, look him up. But I think this is, you're probably not going to get an A-list star to be a villain, I guess, in Bill and Ted 3 because you don't really need it, for one.
No, but think how cool that would be, though.
To have an A. No, I wouldn't want it. I think it would take away from Alex Winter.
I think it would depend. I think it would depend on who you got and how you use them, because especially if you use somebody who especially Keanu has worked with before in a different spin, like for instance
Lawrence Fishburne.
Well, Lawrence Fishburne, the immediately I think of is like Hugo Weaving and do a Mr. Smith spin on it, kind of thing. That sort of thing. I'd be okay with that. But no, I do get and understand that with the star power that is the Keanu.
We're in the Keanu science right now.
Yeah, I don't care what anybody says. That is amazing.
It's been forever. I think this is good casting. He's a good character actor. I think he'll fit well as the villain. Kind of just has to be a character actor. He doesn't need to be giving all that dramatic performance or something, truly menacing, but I think someone that can play creepy like he can, I think that's perfect for Bill and Ted.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Brian is pulling up the picture of him right now with hair and a beard.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
He reminds me of Tom Everett Scott.
a little bit. But I think he'll go bald in this. I think that's his villain persona.
I would have to agree with that. I think they'd have to go that route with it, or at least give him some sort of, I don't know, like a short buzz, like almost like a military style cut. Especially if they pull in like some of the future things like they did from Bill and Ted.
I could see him playing someone from the future coming back to stop them or something like that.
Oh, agreed.
That's what he looks like.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially some of that weird like foam outfit stuff, like what George Carlin had in Two.
Yep.
With the neon and shit.
Oh, I hope they play it up like that. That would be cool. So that was the casting. Anthony Carrigan will play the villain in Bill and Ted 3. The Kingsman, the prequel film.
The prequel sequel.
The next film in the Kingsman series, we'll call it, has a new title, and it's called The King's Man.
And
And
you don't like it.
I don't like this title.
Why not?
I think it's super cheesy. I think you could have just called it The Kingsman, whatever, subtitle you want after that. But I think this is really cheesy, calling it The King's Man.
Because it's the start. It's the beginning.
I know. Why don't you just call it The Kingsman Origins
because
The Kingsman The Beginning?
Because we know how it went the last time we had something with the word origins in it.
I know.
Let's not do that again.
No, I agree with that, but I think there's better ways to come up with a title than this.
I think have trust in Matt Reeves.
Matt Reeves is not doing this.
No, not Matt
Matthew
Vaughn. Sorry.
Oh, I do. I think he is one of the best directors in Hollywood.
Matt Reeves came up in my thing earlier today, so that was my brain. That's my bad. No, Matt Vaughn.
Matt Vaughn is one of the best directors out there. That is why I will give this movie trust. I don't have any doubts about the movie. It's the title.
Yeah.
I don't think he has anything to do with the title.
I think he has everything to do with it. I think he has everything to do with it.
No.
This is one of his passion projects.
Well, I agree with that. But what was the original title for this?
The Great Game.
Yeah.
Why didn't they keep it as that?
Because
I guess this
according to him, that was never official.
I think the one thing I will give this title is that it does signal that this is more of an origin story than that one would. That
Agreed.
one might signal that it is a sequel. So I can see where they're going now.
See, and that's where I think they're going with it. I think it's a matter of that it's the origin. It starts with the one man, to see how everything is going to come to be, and again, being that this is one of his passion projects and this is all him, I don't think the studio had anything to do with the title.
The basic premise for this movie that we got for it now is as a collection of history's worst tyrants and criminal masterminds gathered to plot a war to wipe out millions, one man must race against time to stop them.
And it's going to be D.H. Colin Firth.
That's what you think?
No.
Who do we know who everybody is playing? Because I do have a casting list. One guess that I am guessing is probably the main character is Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah, that'd be my guess
I'm
too.
assuming he's probably the.
Well, it's definitely not.
protagonist.
It's definitely not going to be Ralph Fiennes.
Or Charles Dance.
Actually, depending on how they do it, I could see Ralph Fiennes. Maybe, but
I would like to see Daniel Bruhl play against type and be the hero.
oh, why? Because he always plays the bad guy.
He always plays the bad guy. I think he'd be a pretty good
But
hero.
he plays such a great bad guy.
He does. That's why I want him to play against type. I think that'd be fun.
Nah.
But some of the names, Daniel Bruhl, Gemma Arterton,
Stanley
Aaron Taylor
Tucci.
Johnson, Stanley Tucci,
Stanley Tucci for the hero.
Tom Hollander, Dejamon Hanzu, Charles Dance, Ralph Fiennes. Pretty big cast for this movie. Mm-hmm. It has a set release date February 14, 2020.
So less than a year.
I expect a trailer within the next month.
You think a month?
Yep.
Why a month?
If you're gonna drop your title, your trailer's not gonna be too far behind.
Maybe. I think at earliest Comic-Con.
Probably definitely Comic-Con.
Which is not far off from a month.
No, but at the same time too, even though it's at Comic-Con doesn't necessarily mean that the public will get it right away.
Well,
I hate it when they do that.
It'll be locked up in Hall H.
this is a conversation for another topic, but Comic-Con is not what it used to be, though.
No.
So I don't think they care about Comic-Con anymore. It's not what it is. Disney doesn't give two shits about Comic-Con.
Well, Disney.
We're gonna go do our own thing.
Well, yeah, it's because Disney has D23.
Yeah.
Not everybody else has their
DC
D.
isn't bringing anything this year.
What the hell would they bring anyway?
Joker, Batman.
They don't need no.
I'm just saying, Comic-Con's not what it used to be for movies, unfortunately.
It's true.
I think you're wrong.
No, I think me and Chris are right. But I'm excited for this movie. I need to frickin' catch up on Kingsman 2. I need to watch it.
Are you telling me you haven't watched The Golden Circle yet?
I haven't watched it yet. We brought that up before.
I do. And if that's the case, then I forget and I apologize. And I sit there and go, yes, because once we get into finishing the trilogy and doing the Kingsman 3 and whatnot, Channing Tatum, Jeff Bridges, Halle Berry, all of them from the Statesman side need to reprise their roles and come back.
Why don't they just make a Statesman movie?
Give him time.
Matthew Vaughn has to direct everything in the Kingsman universe.
And what's wrong with that?
And then he has to do another Marvel movie.
Yes.
Or a Star Wars movie.
You want him to do a Star Wars
He
movie?
just needs to make every movie. I'm fine with that. Anyway, that was the news for the week. Kingsman gets a new title called The King's Man.
The King's Man.
All right, so let's jump to our main topic for this week. We're going to play our little game called Schmuck's Choice.
I wouldn't really call it a topic since it's more of a game.
Game, I guess. Our main thing.
Our thing.
Our gimmick for the week.
You're a gimmick.
I am a gimmick. Anyway, we got a hat full of movies that are going to face each other, and I'm excited for it.
You're
a little scared.
You're also the one who put them together. So
I don't remember. This is when we did it the first time, and that was
2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah, March, April.
Yeah, but you just rewrote them all, so they're fresh.
I don't remember what's facing each other in here. All right, so who wants to pick first?
Chris can pick first.
All right, just grab one.
No, he's gonna grab like 12 of them.
Grab 12.
All right. Taxi Driver versus Nightcrawler.
So basically, let's bring it up again. We have these two movies against each other: Taxi Driver and Nightcrawler. One of them will have never existed, and one will get to keep and live on forever. So we got the Robert De Niro classic, Martin Scorsese, Taxi Driver, versus I would say the modern classic, Jake Gyllenhaal's Nightcrawler.
I haven't seen Taxi Driver, so this is a problem.
That could weigh into your pick, though.
I know, so I have to keep Nightcrawler, unfortunately.
Brian hasn't seen either.
He sees the fear in my eyes.
Wait, so should I be mean and pitting on him?
Do it.
Because I'll pick Taxi Driver. I think Taxi Driver is just a masterpiece, but I freaking love Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is, well, I would say Nightcrawler is also a masterpiece, but probably my favorite De Niro performance is in Taxi Driver.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Honestly, between the two, granted, one of the things that always stuck out of my mind, knowing what type of movie Nightcrawler is, that what always threw me off is that Nightcrawler is right when the Century did the remodel and added the XD Theater. And one of the first movies in the XD Theater was Nightcrawler, and I immediately went, that makes no sense to me. Because I think of, like, your Avengers and your stuff like that, and all of a sudden I'm like, no. But
did you watch it in the XD Theater?
I haven't seen it at all.
Oh, whoa. That would look amazing in the XD Theater. That movie is primed for that.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
The way this movie is shot, it makes Los Angeles look like it never has before.
Really?
Yeah. You know how movies like to make Los Angeles like the bright and sparkly, like the best place ever?
Sometimes.
Nightcrawler's like, fuck that. No, it's gross and dirty.
So, but I guess overall my thought is, and then this isn't taken away from Jake Gyllenhaal and all, because I think he's absolutely amazing, but I probably would have to go with Taxi Driver because it is a modern classic that is one that I definitely hope never gets remade.
No, I think the closest we would get is stuff like this that is
inspired by
the weird step cousin 2.
The weird step, the red-headed stepchild.
Yeah, that.
So, are you gonna keep note on who's winning here?
I would say Taxi Driver is our winner for that one. So Taxi Driver will move on forever. Nightcrawler will unfortunately disappear.
Dun, dun, dun.
At least for the next half hour.
Well, this is easy for me.
Let's hear it.
Rambo First Blood versus Die Hard.
That is easy.
Yeah. Sorry, Casey. You lose.
Why? What are you picking then?
Huh?
What are you picking?
Die Hard?
Yeah, Die Hard.
No, this is the easy one. It's Die Hard. I love First Blood, but Die Hard is one of my...
I was waiting for you to be like, I'm picking Rambo. I'm like, good, because I know him and I are going to be like Die Hard.
No, Die Hard is one of the best movies that has ever been made. Hans Gruber, all the way. Number one.
Did you ever go pick up that pop from Target?
No, I did not. I should.
What?
There was Target. They've got one of those box sets with like the T-shirt and the pop, and everything like that. And they have and it's the box looks like it's a Christmas present, and it's Die Hard, and it's got John McClane as a pop, and you actually get him at the pop, and just when he's shirtless and holding the gun, and he's all bloodied up and whatnot. I so wanted to get that. It was right next to the Chuck Norris one. There's Chuck Norris and John McClane and Britney Spears.
Who would win in a fight between Chuck Norris, John McClane, and Britney Spears?
Depends.
Maybe.
Britney Spears.
Crazy Britney Spears. Bald Britney Spears.
Then Britney Spears for the win.
I think
Probably.
she has...
With Chuck Norris with a good solid second.
As a second? Yeah, I think that's a good solid choice. All right, of course I get this one. The Conjuring versus The Exorcist.
Of course you...
So a modern possession movie
Did you
versus...
literally look for the horror one in there? Like he had a dog-eared or something?
It just so happened to pop out. It was meant to be. So the modern exorcism classic, The Conjuring, versus one of the greatest horror films of all time, The Exorcist.
I'm not that impressed with The Exorcist.
Get out.
Then your game won't work anymore.
No, what is it about The Exorcist that doesn't impress you then?
For me, honestly, for me visually, it just doesn't hold up.
And I think you're wrong.
I don't know. Like
One of the scariest images
everything about that girl is not creepy to me.
There is a part I think it's in the director's cut, where she spider crawls down the stairs backwards. You ever seen that?
Yes.
Yes.
And you know what I think is scarier and creepier than that? When in Train Spotting, when freaking dude is coked out of his mind and the baby crawls up the ceiling and spins its head and looks down on him.
No, Reagan in the
What
Exorcist is
the hell?
scary.
What, Train Spotting?
I haven't seen it.
Anyway, so
At
what's
least
your
not
pick
the
then,
whole
Brian? You gonna go The Conjuring?
I'm going with The Conjuring.
All right. Chris?
James Wan is a modern day horror aficionado.
I've only seen parts of The Conjuring.
Because you're not a horror guy.
Yeah, I have to.
I'm surprised you even got that far, to be honest.
Gotta look away every now and then when I'm watching those movies. But yeah, I gotta keep The Conjuring, I guess.
I guess my choice doesn't matter. I would pick The Exorcist. I think The Exorcist is one of the greatest horror movies of all time. I do think it still holds up. That is one of the scariest scenes ever, the spider crawl scene. But that's taking nothing away from The Conjuring. I think the clapping game is one of the best sequences in modern horror. So I don't have a problem with it. But I think you guys are wrong.
Well, it doesn't matter if we're wrong. We win.
You won.
We overpowered you.
You won, I guess.
Oh, I like this one, and I've seen both of these.
Ooh, maybe that means I have too.
Get Out
Yes.
versus A Quiet Place.
I have seen both of these at the same time.
Whoa.
Look at
You watched
us!
them at the same time?
And those are considered horror-esque type movies. And I'm kind of impressed you've seen both of those, Chris. Is it because they're more of a thriller? They're not more of like
Yeah.
the Saw and
The jump scare stuff and supernatural stuff, I guess, kind of gets to me more than stuff like this. Because Get Out could be fucking real. Like, you can't really transfer brains between people.
that we know of.
That we know of.
You know Bill Gates has already figured it out. You know, he's just going to, when he goes and
He's got-
passes on, he's just going to put himself in the computer.
He's got a black guy figured out already.
He wants to be like LeBron James or something. That's a horror film right there. Go from Jordan Peele, both Jordan Peele and John Krasinski,
two people that you look at these guys who are amazing at comedy and just turn us on our ear and go, holy shit. Both of them, and honestly, I mean, that's why I like this pairing, because, you know, Jordan Peele literally comes out of nowhere, because I think what the movie he did just before that was Keanu, the cat movie.
As far as him starring in, yeah, Keanu was the one before us.
Yeah, but I think he directed it too.
No,
Didn't
Get
he?
Out is his directorial debut.
Oh,
So
that's
both
right.
the directorial debuts for
That's true.
Krasinski and Peele.
I'm
And
saving Get Out.
They both wrote him too.
Krasinski was one of the writers on Get Out.
He was more of
Quiet
a
Place.
helping writer.
Well, he's a full-on writer for the new one.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
I would honestly have to go. I do have to agree. I think I'd have to go with Get Out because of the immense social commentary that's wrapped around it, and Lil Rel is freaking hilarious in that movie. And then most recently, I actually noticed that the guy from Tacoma FD is actually the groundskeeper / grandpa in it, and I just looked at him. Why do I recognize him? Oh yeah, he's on a new show.
So you're going with Get Out?
I'm going with Get Out.
I'm going with Get Out as well. I think it is a modern classic. I loved A Quiet Place. It felt not. It is definitely more the thriller science fiction route, more like Cloverfield than it would be.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah, but I think Get Out it has a much tighter script, has the social commentary like you said, and yeah, I think that's it's just the better film.
That film was what made me disappointed in Daniel Kaluuya in Hello, how are you doing? His performance in Get Out is what made me disappointed in his performance in Black Panther.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Because
I get what you're doing.
You know he's got the range, and all of a sudden you're like, wow,
Oscar nominated
you
performance.
really phoned that one in.
Yeah. All right, Brian, what do we got for our next pick?
Ouch. The MCU versus the Star Wars saga. And better,
Yeah.
you should probably reword that as the Skywalker saga.
No, the entire Star Wars saga.
Yeah, the 9 films are considered the Skywalker saga now.
No, I'm including Rogue One, Han Solo.
Well, it doesn't
Everything
matter.
next.
It doesn't matter
The
anyway.
Ewok movies.
The Ewok movies, the Christmas holiday special,
Oh yeah,
Clone Wars, we're doing it all. Everything.
that's alright. It doesn't matter. It's MCU for me.
Yeah, it sounds easy.
No.
Unfortunately easy, but
You made the mistake of putting Star Wars against the MCU, against the two big MCU nerds in here. That was your fault. You were the one who put this together.
I think that's why we need to argue this in more depth.
Okay,
sometime.
you're wrong. So what's your argument?
No, this could be an entire episode, but I think there is no better film in the MCU than A New Hope or Empire Strikes Back.
that I might agree with. But the MCU doesn't have the prequels.
It does have Iron Man 2 and Thor: The Dark World.
Thor: The Dark World is shit. I'll give you that.
Thor:
So-
The Dark World and Iron Man are
So
worse than any
let's
of
do
the
the math here. We got 3 originals, 3 prequels, soon to be 3 sequels, and
2 spin-offs.
two spin-offs.
Just count those, I guess.
And so, just hypothetically, doing the math, and then the prequels that are kind of, that's like 25% of your movies, and you just named off 2 out of 22. Let's do the math. You have no argument.
I do have an argument. I just said their 2 best films are better than any of the Marvel films. I can see why this might be a case of quantity versus quality, where Marvel has more good films,
They do.
but Star Wars has the best of all these films together. That would be my main
Do
argument.
you think the best?
Empire Strikes Back is far superior than anything in the MCU.
I already know your answer, so I'll just pose this to you.
Okay.
New Hope, Empire Strikes Back versus Infinity War and Endgame.
Oh, Infinity War and Endgame.
You're lying to yourself.
No.
Yeah, you are.
No.
As better films,
For me personally.
if they stood alone, if that was...
And I even grew up with that shit. I even grew up literally the freaking New Hope came out the year after I did. I literally grew up on those movies, and I grew up in the entire.
So I'm going to pose that same question, but nothing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe has ever happened before until Infinity War is the first one. You're thrown right into it. That's it. That's the start, and then you go to Endgame.
Then it's a dog shit movie, just to be honest. That's what I think. Like, if I took my mom and said, "Here, Mom, watch Infinity War," she'd be like, "This is the worst fucking movie ever made."
Who are these people?
Exactly.
I mean, you know nothing about them based on that.
Then you can't compare
which is
the
unfortunate.
No, New Hope.
Because you can't, because you're literally trying to compare a.
No, because technically there's now 5 films before A New Hope, so therefore the argument is still valid. I know there's no changing your mind on this.
No, there's not.
I guess the Marvel Cinematic Universe will move on. We will argue about this until the end of time, probably. All right, I'll go with the next group here, even though I'm disappointed. Star Wars. All right, of course I get another fucking horror franchise.
I swear you got him dog-eared. You're like...
I do. That one's marked. I'm taking that one. Here's a fun one, though. This is another franchise fight.
Okay, franchise fight.
All right, Child's Play. We'll include, I guess, the new one.
Okay.
Versus the Friday the 13th franchise, including the new one from 2009.
I was like, the new one? That thing is 10 years old.
Chucky versus Jason Voorhees.
I'm waiting for Chris to go.
Have you watched any from either franchise?
I've seen bits of Jason. I don't know which movie though.
Did he have the hockey mask?
Yes.
So not the first one.
I think I saw it was. I think it was the very end. They had like one and killed him, and they were like standing on a deck on the lake, and then he like comes out of nowhere.
That sounds
Newer,
yeah.
That sounds
fighting Freddy.
Probably.
Yeah, Freddy versus Jason.
Well, no, he does the same thing in the end of the 2009 remake, doesn't he?
I don't remember.
I think he does. I think he does. Anyway.
And really, the only stuff I've seen of Chucky, it looks like comically weird and not scary.
Yeah, him and I were arguing a little bit about that online, about when did it become comedic horror versus just straight up,
I
Just
argued that it always was.
Just because he's a fucking doll.
I think that's inherently funny.
It's not the
He
point.
calls a lady a stupid bitch on the elevator. That's funny.
Yeah, but you know what? There's always been comedic elements to Nightmare on Elm Street.
There has, but I don't think Freddy was
he
ever inherently funny.
He literally licked a person through the phone.
I think that's unintentionally funny yet creepy. See, he got creeped out by that.
That is weird.
Yeah, the end of the phone transforms and he's licking the person.
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, no,
I still think Chucky's always been funny. Anyway, we're not fighting that. We're fighting Child's Play versus Friday the 13th. I mean, if you want to weigh in quality, I don't think
there is a such thing as either one of these franchises.
I would say in terms of quality, I guess Child's Play 1 and 2 are better than any of the Friday 13th movies.
Honestly, myself personally, just for the sake of the first 3, because I actually enjoy the whole military school aspect and all everything about part 3, and I would have to go with Child's Play. And that's saying the fact that I haven't seen like the last 3 of them because they got bad.
No, those are good. Seed of Chucky's really bad. That's the worst out of.
Seed of Chucky's where I was like, just because it's got the dude from Lord of the Rings does not make me want to watch it anymore.
Seed of Chucky's bad, but then you got to watch. Actually, the straight to DVD movies are actually some of the best.
Oh, you mean the ones where they bring Andy back?
Yeah. So I would definitely check those out. For me, I'm gonna go Friday the 13th. I think they're more fun to watch. Just sit and watch those from the first Friday the 13th up until the remake or Freddy vs. Jason, wherever you want to stop.
You know what the part that's hilarious about this is I'm picking Child's Play, and I don't own any of them, but I have all the Friday the 13th.
I guess that maybe is saying something, but I think it's just more fun to watch all the Friday the 13th movies.
Maybe it's because I found Friday the 13th on really dirt cheap.
So it's coming down to Chris, the non-horror guy, to pick the 2 horror franchises.
I'm waiting for him to like grab a quarter or something.
Just flip it.
I'll probably say Friday the 13th, I think.
Save it?
Yeah.
That's the one you're saving?
I would like to say a fun fact here, though.
What's the fun fact?
Did you know that someone built like a statue of Jason
And put it in a lake.
and put it in a lake?
I have seen that, actually. I've seen the pictures.
That's awesome.
It is creepy as hell.
Uh-huh.
That's amazing.
Because they actually have it where he's got, like, the chain around him. And it,
For
yeah.
part 6, yep.
Ugh.
Yes,
That's
I have seen
freaky.
that. Did you were Googling and you found it or whatever?
I saw it on Reddit, I think. It freaked me out.
So, Jason Voorhees will win that fight. He will live on. Chucky, he is no more.
He'll be back.
For now.
Including the remake, which I'm alright with. Alright, Chris has our next pick here.
Nice. Knocked Up versus 40-Year-Old Virgin.
A couple of Judd Apatow movies.
So I look at Knocked Up and I'm like, but that is... Because that's Kate Bosworth, right? No, which Kate is that one?
Catherine
Heigl.
Catherine Hagel, okay. Well, I'm not... It's not...
That's why I'm getting rid of that one. I hate Catherine Heigl. Seth Rogen is great in that, and I love all like him and his friends' interactions. I think this is probably the most I can stand Catherine Heigl is in this movie. It's still not going to put it over Steve Carell and 40-Year-Old Virgin, though.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to lose anyway if that's the case, so...
40-Year-Old Virgin.
No, because I don't like Steve Carell that much, so...
Ooh.
Get out.
You've already said that once before, and I'm still sitting here, asshole.
What? So, have you watched 40-Year-Old Virgin?
No,
Oh.
because
What is it about Steve Carell that you don't like?
it's not...
The stupid characters, or
So,
he's not this and that?
well, and maybe that's the case. I don't know. I mean, there was just something about it that just didn't, was not my cup of tea. Because, I mean, there are things that I legitimately have watched him in and thoroughly enjoyed him in. I enjoyed him in Date Night with Tina Fey. I've enjoyed him in, oh shit, what was it? Crazy Stupid Love.
That's a great fucking
That is a great movie. Fucking Kevin Bacon is great in that movie. He generally does make good movies, but there's just him and Will Ferrell. There's just something about them that just unless there's something about it that absolutely gives me a reason I want to see it. Like Welcome to Marwen, I wanted to see that. I still want to see it. I never got around to seeing it. He makes movies that I do want to see. This just was not one of those ones. Like, there's nothing in those trailers that said, I need to see this movie.
40-Year-Old Virgin, really? I'd say I want to say it's one of the best romantic comedies out there. Definitely leans more into the comedy side, yes. But Steve Carell is great as the leading man in his first leading role, I want to say. This is even before The Office.
Same year, but yeah.
Yeah, and then Paul Rudd, Seth Rogen are great as the side characters.
I will give...
You need to watch it just for Paul Rudd.
I will give Steve Carell credit that he will do anything for his craft and his comedy.
Including getting his chest waxed.
I will give him that. But,
You just hate Steve Carell for no reason.
I don't hate... Hate is a strong word.
I get the Will Ferrell hate. This is the one I don't get. But you're going to go with Knocked Up?
I'm going Knocked Up. I love Seth Rogen.
I'm going to go 40-Year-Old Virgin.
I'm going 40-Year-Old Virgin.
That's why I said I knew I was going to lose.
So now Brian has to watch 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Oh, I have to now, huh?
You have to watch it.
Do you own it?
Yes, I think I do.
I believe these are the two films where Seth Rogen and Paul Rudd do their one and a I know you're gay jokes.
That they just riffed on the spot.
Do you know those?
No.
Watch the movies, man.
Just
It's a great scene. They just go back and forth telling each other how they know that you're gay.
In which one? In 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Both.
Oh, both of them?
Yeah, both.
Yeah, I think
It's
so.
the same scene, pretty much.
Yeah, and it's just those two riffing off each other.
No, if there's one thing I know that both of them are good at, it's like off-the-cuff improvising.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so 40-Year-Old Virgin will move on. Who made that pick? I don't remember.
It's Brian's turn. I think I went, so.
He did.
Brian, what's next
What's
in the Schmuck's choice?
God damn it. Gotta stop putting stuff on here that I need to watch. The Arrival versus Interstellar. Who doesn't love an absolutely crying, weeping, Matthew McConaughey?
Denis Villeneuve versus Christopher Nolan.
Have both these movies, need to watch them both.
So you haven't watched either.
I've seen both.
Okay, I've seen both. That's going to be an interesting route. I have my pick,
I have my pick.
and mine's pretty easy, actually.
Mine is too.
We probably have the same pick. It's Arrival.
Yeah, so you just want the Arrival.
It's Arrival. Arrival is so good. It's ridiculous how good that movie is.
My biggest problems with Interstellar is the music playing over the dialogue. You can't hear them talking,
Especially at the end.
And you haven't seen it, right?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Spoilers for Interstellar.
If you,
The whole film is like scientifically based, kind of imaginary scientifically based, but it's basically scientifically. Then at the very end, like the fucking thing is like, it was love. It was love. It's like that. Why are we saying that? If you watch the movie, you know what I'm talking about, but it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Love is the thing that brings him back.
Uh-huh.
Not science, which is the entire movie before that.
Uh-huh.
Then all of a sudden, boom, at the end, love. Because cheesy ending.
because we needed something that was not Armageddon.
This is better than Armageddon. I don't know what that has to do with Armageddon. Besides
The whole love thing, the crying and the losing daddy in the end
This
kind of
movie
thing.
could have used Aerosmith's at the end.
Yeah.
It could have used Aerosmith.
Could-
I would give it that.
You could use a little Aerosmith.
It has a fun little cameo by one Matt Damon.
Mm-hmm. That's a pretty good cameo, too.
Yeah. I was surprised seeing
Is
it.
that when he determined that he was going to be in The Martian?
He
Right
basically...
before The Martian. I think The Martian's a better movie than Interstellar, too.
The one thing, and side note, because I've watched most of The Martian, the one thing I love about The Martian, there's so many comedians in that movie playing such serious roles.
Everybody who's a comedian plays a serious role, and everybody who's not is really funny.
In The Martian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt Damon's really funny. But then you look at, like, Donald Glover, or is Kristen Wiig?
Kristen Wiig is in it, yes.
They're both super dramatic and, like, not playing who they usually play, and it's awesome.
See, The Martian was one of those ones where I was like, I'll see it someday kind of thing. Like, it wasn't like when I had to go to, and then it was on TV or something like that, right? And I saw Kristen Wiig, I saw Donald Glover, and I was like, oh, so-and-so. Okay, now you've got my attention.
So Brian needs to have a space movie watch
I need
with
to have-
Arrival, Interstellar, and The Martian.
The Martian.
That would be a fun little group to put together. I would end with The Martian.
Yes.
End with The Martian, not end with The Arrival? Start with The
No,
Arrival.
no,
So
I
go
would
The
start with
Arrival and
I
The
would start with-
Interstellar.
I would start with Interstellar, go to Arrival, then The Martian.
So are you
Interstellar or Arrival's going to take a lot out of you.
saying The Martian is better than... My bad.
Do we want to throw that one out? I'll throw that. The Martian versus Arrival. I still go Arrival.
I would say Martian is probably like a better rewatch movie.
Easier rewatch,
Yeah,
for sure.
but The Arrival is a technically sound better film.
Arrival is freaking amazing. I can't get this movie. It's just shot beautifully. Amy Adams is amazing in this movie. Jeremy Renner's really good. The storyline, and once you actually figure out what's going on, is mind-bending and heartbreaking all at once. Yeah, it's a perfect ending.
It takes its time.
You can. I
and
don't, this is one I will
explains
not
stuff,
spoil at all because you have to watch it to
You do.
understand it. So,
Very good.
put that one on your watch list. Watch list first, Brian. Arrival.
You're talking about watch list, right? So the other day I decided I was going to go through my entire iTunes library and go, okay, what do I have and what do I need to watch that I've
God.
never seen, right?
Oh God.
Yeah. That
How
number...
many movies do you have unwatched in your iTunes, Brian?
Load. Come on, there we go. Movies.
Because I have the next one.
Catching up on the catalog. That is 82.
So Brian's got some movies to watch. Add Arrival to that.
Arrival's in there.
All right.
It's at the top because, it starts with A.
Oh, so then start. I would start there. Start with
right
Arrival. All right. This next one will be fun. I'm pretty sure you guys have both seen these. Christopher Nolan fight right here. Inception versus Memento.
Just watched Inception last night.
Still have to watch Memento.
You never seen Memento?
I've always wanted to because it looks amazing.
It's very good.
And, and I really dig Christopher Nolan. Like, he legit has a problem making bad movies.
These are his two mindfuck films.
That's the other
Don't
reason why
mess
I want
with
to
you.
see it. I love a mindfuck film.
What Interstellar was trying to be.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Which I enjoy Interstellar for what it was, but no, I think these are two of his best. They're up towards the top. Yeah, I don't know. This is actually a tough one. Inception.
Well, I will start with this here, just being that I haven't seen Memento, but what I know of a Memento and all that fun stuff is that I myself would actually have to go with Inception, mainly because, you know, for what I know of Memento and everything like that, basically everything is going to be revolving around the singular character of Guy Pearce and his amnesia. But one of the things that I applaud Inception with is having such a deep story and having to keep everything straight amongst the different levels of sleep and what's going on, when it's going on, and the time frame in which everything is happening because of the exponential change of time and how much time they have depending on which level of sleep they are in. And on top of trying to keep that all together and the ensemble cast that he put together for that movie is just absolutely sound.
Everything you said about Inception is the exact same stuff you can say about Memento, because you have to follow that movie because of how much it jumps around, and you got to pick up where it's at this point in this time, and very much a similar concept.
So you haven't seen Memento?
No.
So do you know about how it jumps back and forth at all?
No.
So basically, it's all like
You
Pulp
gotta
Fiction times 12,
Uh-huh.
and how you got to follow the story.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Basically,
So not one to not
Basically, the beginning is the end, and the end is the beginning.
I think, yeah, the first scene is the end, and then the next scene is from the beginning, and then it just alternates back and forth until the beginning and the end meet in the middle, and the middle is literally the end of the movie.
Yeah, and then there's flashbacks in it, and
Wow,
you
that,
have to watch
that
it.
literally sounds like, Nolan's like, oh, look what Tarantino did. Watch this.
boom, blows up. So I'm going to go with Memento here,
Yes.
because I think Guy Pearce is fantastic in this movie. Nolan's directing and using that change of time and where you are in your storytelling, because this is the most non-linear movie I've ever watched. You have to sit and watch and pay attention to where it takes place, where this is happening. I think he does that to perfection in this movie. What I'll give it over Inception is I think there's a lot of dialogue dumping to Ellen Page, where I understand where you need it in a movie like that, where you're jumping into dreams and dreams within dreams and all that type of stuff. You need that, but I think there is a slightly better way to go about it without just dumping all dialogue onto a single character. So that's where I give the slight edge to Memento.
I just like Ellen Page.
I like Ellen Page. There's nothing wrong with the actress. It's her character is only in that movie for us to be her.
Yeah.
And like, hey, this is what's happening.
The one
Leo's
thing
telling us everything that's going to
The
happen.
one thing I definitely do like about Inception is that is one of those type of movies that, with such a large ensemble cast, nobody really phones it in.
No, it's a really good cast. Ken Watanabe is great.
Oh yeah, even to the point when he had been in the whatever for like 80 years or whatever it was when he was the old man.
Yep.
All of it is just you usually find one of those kind of movies where you get like that one person. I mean, even Tom Berenger, who nobody even fucking remembers, even does a good job on what he is meant to do. Pete Postlethwaite as the father, what little bit he has, he crushes it. So that's just my input on such a great movie.
It is, but your movie's gone now. It's gone
I
forever.
understand that, but at least I can check out Memento on Hoopla. It looks like.
Yes, definitely watch Memento. Great film. So Memento, we'll move on over Inception.
Dun dun dun.
I would say a little bit of an upset. I would say most people think Inception is one of, if not Nolan's best.
I think it's a better movie, but I would rather say
keep
Memento. Yeah. All right, next one.
Carrie-Anne Moss, huh? Check that out.
The Wrestler versus Warrior.
So if we're jumping back to our sports films from quite a few episodes ago.
Yeah, just a smidge. You might have to keep that in mind, and when you put the notes out and link back over to that one.
Yeah, so we got The Wrestler versus Warrior. I'm pretty sure when we did our little sports bracket, I'm pretty sure The Wrestler won when we pitted these two against each other.
Well, it's because
I think it did, didn't
because you're not wrong. Like,
It's The Wrestler.
we already know that this one. We already know Warrior lost.
Yeah.
Like-
I haven't watched Warrior, but I think The Wrestler, just for me personally, it's a fantastic film, but it also resonates to me personally because I actually watch wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
and I relate to that more than I would MMA.
Mm-hmm.
So personal bias, I guess, on that.
Oh, I'm
But
all
Mickey Rourke is fantastic.
Mickey Rourke. Marissa
Marissa
Tomei
Tomei.
is fantastic in it. She's definitely the reason why you look at that and you look at Aunt May and you're like, Aunt May.
Okay.
Aunt May. What are your thoughts there, Chris?
I haven't seen The Wrestler, so I have to go with The Warrior. But even if I had seen The Wrestler, I think I still would pick The Warrior because Warrior's like top 5 for me all time.
Of sports movies or just in general?
Movies.
Movies in general? Then you've never seen The Wrestler.
Well, that's going to be a
That's
sad day for Chris because one of his top 5 favorite movies of all time.
He
is
now
gone.
has a top 4.
It's gone.
That's true. That's
The
unfortunate.
one thing
Don't worry, some of Brian's are in there too.
Yeah, definitely. But no, I was gonna say is, I mean, you look at who made that movie and the kind of movies he makes. This is definitely kind of, it's in his style, but still unconventional at the same time.
For Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah.
It's definitely probably his most straightforward movie.
It's the most like probably one of the most grounded ones.
And when people talk about like they want a gritty movie, this is it.
You want gritty? You need freaking Requiem for a Dream for Darren Aronofsky.
But this movie right here, like just looking at it, you feel like you're watching real people.
Yes.
It's scary almost. So The Wrestler, we'll move on against Warrior.
Speaking
Well,
of this director,
yes.
have you guys seen Noah?
No.
It's
No.
I don't want
fucking
to.
trash.
There-
Don't watch it.
I like Darren Aronofsky, but I also know that movie just did not look good.
Since we're talking about him, has anyone else seen Mother?
No.
No.
But I've
Okay.
heard that's trash.
I loved it.
You love?
I loved it. I loved it. But I can't say anything on it if you haven't watched.
Well, it's one of those ones where I wanted to see it because I like Darren Aronofsky, I like Jennifer Lawrence, and it's just one of the things that like it was starting to get kind of the weird bad press and everything like to the point where I didn't go see it and then I just never got around to seeing it kind of thing. Where maybe eventually, maybe I'll just put it on my to-do list kind of thing. But
it's literally a movie you're gonna fucking hate or you're gonna love.
so.
I'm on the love. I love that movie.
Since we're talking wrestling here really quick here before we move on, because this is local and this is whatnot going on. Are you familiar with anything, the stuff that's going on in regards to SuperCon or MAP or anything like that?
Yeah, I know what's going on.
Okay.
About who they're getting.
Yes.
I'm pretty excited about it because you know what? We should announce this at some point
What's that?
that we're gonna be there.
We're
at
going to be
SuperCon.
at SuperCon.
But do you know who else is gonna be there?
I know who's going to be there.
Who's gonna be there?
Billy Gunn's going to be there.
Badass Billy Gunn.
And Chris is like, who?
He's gonna look him up.
I don't know who that is.
Mr. Ass. Billy Gunn.
No, I actually got an opportunity to watch Charlie's promo that when they did the Facebook
That's
Live.
how I saw it too.
And big shout out to Charlie, who's been on
He was on our wrestling episode.
and I'm working on trying to figure out when we can get him back on again here. He wanted to be on for the Spider-Man one, but I don't know if we'll have enough room in here.
Yeah, we're getting pretty full for that. Spoilers, we have a Spider-Man episode coming up in a few weeks.
Few weeks.
Yeah.
Spider-Man is literally just around the corner.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
But no, big shout out to Charlie. He did a phenomenal job. Yeah, getting having the MAP show at SuperCon for the Supermania, having Billy Gunn, I think it will be a huge draw for them, for SuperCon, for the charities, all that stuff. I'm super excited for that.
Are we gonna go meet Billy Gunn? With
I
our
will.
backlight shirts.
I don't know if we're gonna meet Billy Gunn,
I
but
hope he has a booth. Cause
what are you trying to
Is this-
do?
Is this him?
That is Billy Gunn.
Badass
Yes,
Billy Gunn.
badass Billy Gunn.
Anyway.
Yeah, current Hall of Famer and AEW and
Producer and-
produce. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Anyway. I know a couple people that probably will be meeting him, but
I want to meet him because we need to make a special backlot DX type shirt just for that.
do you know any graphics people?
Any graphics people out there listening, we want a custom T-shirt just for me and Brian that says "Suck It."
Suck it, Trebek.
No, "Suck It" with the Backlot 605 logo. Please help us out. Anyway, that was our wrestling spiel for about 5 minutes there. Let's move on.
Hey, because it was brand new and it literally just happened last night. Mind you, this will be a few days when you actually hear it or whatnot, And I want to give a big ass shout out to Charlie.
All right,
All right.
what do we got next, Brian?
All right, so on to the way of the weird and creepy, and the Doug Jones. It looks like Pan's Labyrinth versus Shape of Water.
Two of Guillermo del Toro's best films.
He likes working with Doug Jones, doesn't he?
Doug Jones is quite his muse.
Doug Jones is definitely like he's like the to the creepy monsters of Guillermo del Toro, like Andy Serkis is to mocap.
Yeah. He's his Leo DiCaprio to Scorsese. So we got 2 movies that, have you guys watched either one of these yet?
I've seen Pan's Labyrinth because it was on Netflix not that long ago, but haven't seen Shape of Water.
Never got around to watching Shape of Water. I've seen bits and pieces of Pan's.
Okay.
I think part of me is like, they got nominated and stuff like that for Shape of Water and whatnot. But
It won.
yeah, I know, but I love the fact that Guillermo del Toro does monsters so good. Like, some studio needs, if Universal wants to try to make their monster universe, they just need to give it to him.
That's where Shape of Water started from.
Well, no,
He wanted to make Creature from the Black Lagoon,
and
they didn't want to do it with him.
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying they're wrong.
Idiots.
I'm saying they're wrong. No, I know, I get that. He wants because that's what he's good at, and that's where I kind of want to lead because I like the fantasy of it of all, and I would lean towards Pan's Labyrinth.
No, I love Pan's Labyrinth. I think it is one of
Because
his best.
that pale man is creepy as fucking hell.
He is. The Pale Man is creepy. So is the Fawn character. I think it is an overall really good story set during World War One, two.
Well,
Hellboy's during World War One, right?
I think
He likes to set them during those world wars.
yeah.
Anyway, Chris, do you have a pick?
Well, this is gonna be odd because I haven't seen Shape of Water, but I'm gonna save Shape of Water just because what I've heard about
Because you
it.
haven't. Yeah.
Because literally everybody says, how the fuck do you make a great movie out of a love story with a fish? And everybody's like, it actually works,
does.
which is weird to me.
No.
So I'm gonna save it.
Yeah, I've seen both of these movies. I love both of these movies. I think they're 2 of Del Toro's best. And the one I will save is going to be Shape of Water. Because a couple of reasons. One, it's a fantastic film. The love story absolutely works between the fish man and the deaf woman. And it's Creature from the Black Lagoon if it was a love story.
You said she's deaf. Would it played even better if she was blind? Then she wouldn't know he's a fish man.
No, I think it works. It just works for what it is. This movie, and it is one of Del Toro's best shot films. It has beautiful cinematography, and the reason I will give it the edge over Pan's Labyrinth, which also does have great set designs and characters and scary monsters, as well as scary real life people that are scarier than the monsters themselves. The reason I'll give Shape of Water the win is, well, it won the frickin' Best Picture. How often do relatively horror monster films win Best Picture? Never. So a monster film that won Best Picture, yeah, I'm going to keep this one. So I'm going to go with Shape of Water. I love Pan's Labyrinth, but I think it's something you have to keep, and it is definitely one of the best of the decade.
I'll give you that.
All right, so Shape of Water we are keeping. All right, I think I'm next here.
I just know I lose a lot, it looks like.
You do lose a lot. All right, so we're going to do a little time loop battle here. Groundhog Day versus Edge of Tomorrow. Live, die, repeat.
It's like Looper?
Looper? No.
Looper?
Looper would not win against either of these either.
Groundhog Day versus Edge of Tomorrow.
Bill Murray versus Tom Cruise.
How do you pit Tom Cruise versus Bill Murray?
We are, Brian. I almost wrote Tom Cruise instead of Edge of Tomorrow.
What do you think, Chris?
Edge of Tomorrow, definitely. I've seen both movies. I think Groundhog Day is overrated, and I'm really sorry to say that, but Edge of Tomorrow is phenomenal.
All right,
You want me
Casey.
to- you want me to go?
I'm making you go.
Okay. Well, you're going to have the final choice anyway, because I'm going to go Groundhog Day.
Right, because you think you love it because it's overrated, like he says?
No. I think this might be my favorite Bill Murray performance that I've seen. I haven't seen some of his more dramatic stuff, but as far as comedic performance, I think this is Bill Murray's best.
You never saw What About Bob?
I have seen What About Bob. He's great in What About Bob, but I love Groundhog Day. And I think the story it tells and his character arc is better than any other arc he goes through in any other movie, including Scrooged.
I was just about to say.
Which is like the biggest character arc you could ever go through, but I think Groundhog Day nails that pretty much the exact same arc
Yeah, I was gonna say
Better?
from the the asshole to the good guy.
Yeah, and I think it's an overall comedy classic, so you can't lose that. But I love Edge of Tomorrow, not for Tom Cruise, but for Emily Blunt.
Yeah.
Well,
But I got to keep Groundhog Day.
I still think Edge of Tomorrow is the reason why John Krasinski started doing things like Jack Reacher and 13 Hours, because he realized that his wife was looking more badass on screen than he was.
She still is.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a tough one for me. I enjoy both the movies. Groundhog Day is a classic. It's not as overrated as Chris thinks it is. If it was overrated, it would be... This is even me poking fun of my own favorite Christmas movie of A Christmas Story, Chris, in that if it was... I picture, like, if it had the same kind of fanfare in terms of how some people think Christmas Story is overrated to the point where TBS plays it 24, for the full 24 hours, is the... If they were played Groundhog's Day on Groundhog's Day for the full 24 hours in the same vein, then I could see someone seeing that is overrated, because it just...
No, I think that would maybe even work better than the Christmas Story one, because it's like you're constantly in the loop.
I love it. That would be...
That'd be great. Yeah, I like that. Anyway.
TBS, you need to do that. I'm gonna have to go... Oh, fuck. Emily Blunt is so fucking amazing in that movie.
But Bill fucking Murray.
It is Bill fucking Murray, but Bill fucking Murray's got other great movies that I can live with. I've got Ghostbusters. I've got Scrooged. I have fucking Zombieland. I'm going to go with Edge of Tomorrow.
I was going to say I think Groundhog Day is better than all of those, but you're going to go with Edge of Tomorrow?
I'm going Edge Tomorrow.
All right. The surprise upset, I think. Edge of Tomorrow beats out Groundhog Day.
You probably figured I would go with Groundhog Day.
I figured you would. All right, who we got next? Chris?
Are you putting literally like who's picking them so you actually know who's next?
Yeah, no, I already know who's.
Oh.
It's most of who's winning.
Brian, you ready for this?
No.
Clerks
Yes.
versus Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
God, he's an asshole.
This is the one I was referring to earlier.
God damn it. All right.
Keanu versus Kevin Smith. Brian's got it. This is his life flashing before his eyes once again.
A little bit. I'm going to let you guys go first. That way I can figure out where...
Yeah, last time it was Back to the Future versus Goonies. I think that hurt you.
Yeah, that was painful. That was literally like twist the knife.
Yeah, is this more painful?
No, because that was literally my childhood.
That means he has a pick. He has a pick.
Ooh.
Oh, I don't know.
Let's wait for him for last, because this one's, I think, more geared towards Brian's fandom. So
Yeah, this is me, yeah, definitely.
me, I'm going to go with Bill and Ted.
I have to go with Clerks because I haven't seen Bill and Ted. Either of them, but I have seen Clerks, which I thought was okay.
Is this
But then he hasn't seen Bill and Ted, so...
I'm going to save Clerks.
You're going to save Clerks. I got to go Bill and Ted because I think it is a better movie than Clerks. I think Clerks is a great independent movie, but it's not the best even in the View Askew universe.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, too, it's also the dude made it on $27,000 of credit card debt, and he didn't have a big budget like Bill and Ted did.
Maybe if we didn't have Bill and Ted, we might not have Keanu Reeves at all.
That is possible, because...
We might not have Kevin Smith if we don't have Clerks, though, so that's... But I'm going to go with Bill and Ted. Chris goes with Clerks, so it's down to Brian.
Ooh.
I think we did that on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of figured that's what that would boil down to. And part of me is like, if you didn't have... You're absolutely right. If we didn't have Clerks, we would not have Kevin Smith, because that is literally what kickstarted his career. And I do think that Bill and Ted... Because Keanu did have a career before Bill and Ted, but it was still more in the supporting cast role and whatnot. So I definitely think that Bill and Ted definitely kickstarted his career. Alex Winter's never really been a forefront kind of guy. In fact, he's been more of a director lately anyway and doing documentaries. Honestly, I would say I'm going to save Clerks because it gets us and keeps us Kevin Smith. Because even without Bill and Ted, I still think we would still be in the Keanu-verse.
You'd still have Keanu. I think you might be right.
Because
I guess I didn't weigh that because then if we didn't have Clerks, we wouldn't have anything else after that from Kevin Smith.
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
Can I revert my choice?
Sure.
Does it matter?
No, because Clerks moves on. Clerks wins.
Yes.
All right, Brian, you got the next pick, even though your heart is broken forever.
I'll live. I'll live because tomorrow they'll be back in my life. Saw versus Scream. I took one of your horror ones.
You did. That was mine.
Yeah.
We're talking franchises or the first movies?
Ooh, good call.
Ooh, I don't know. What do you guys want to do?
I've seen both of the first movies.
I think I was referencing the first movies.
Okay.
But if we want to do franchise, we can. We
I
can
was
do,
like,
I mean, we can do
you
both.
are talking 4 versus 8 movies.
My answer is the same for both, anyway.
Neither.
No, Scream. Especially if we do the first movie, because the first Scream is a masterpiece.
No, it's so meta. I love it.
It is. It is my favorite script of all time. I think it is a perfect horror film, perfect comedy. I saw it, and it's all right for what it is, but it's not Scream.
I watched Saw in like 6th grade on a sleepover, and I stayed up all night.
What kind of parents at that sleepover letting kids in 6th grade watch fucking Saw?
Yeah, that was fucked up. I didn't go to sleep that night. I'll just say that. And that's where my hate for horror movies comes from. Is from that movie. Yeah. So I can't save Saw. I have to save Scream.
You're gonna save Skeet Ulrich.
He's like, I'm saving Scream because fucking Tobin Bell scarred me for fucking life.
He did. That shit.
What was it? Him getting up?
Just the whole clown jigsaw face on the bicycle.
Okay.
That. Oh, God.
Billy.
Billy the Puppet.
Billy the Puppet.
All right,
He
Brian.
has a name. He does have a name.
That
Brian,
shit
it's
freaks
down
me
to
out.
you then. Scream versus Saw. Wes Craven versus James Wan. Two very different horror films too.
Very much so. And, you know,
Hard to compare.
for me, honestly, I don't necessarily know if it is that hard to compare. Because, no, you're
I guess for me it wasn't. It was Scream all the way. But
Well, I mean, at this point right now, it's redundant because it's going to Scream win anyway because it's 2 votes already. But I will give you my thought on it. Being the fact that I'm a huge fan of the Saw franchise, even the ones that are not that great.
everything after 2,
I'd say at least 3.
none are great in my opinion, actually. But
Because I'll be the first one to say, like, when they did Saw 3D, the 3D was completely unnecessary. Absolutely unnecessary. But, even for being a fan of both franchises, I have all these movies, I would honestly have to go with Scream, because of, even though there's less films, the quality of those films, I mean, even 4, when they decided they were going to try to bring it back and kind of turn its ear again, it was still a good, solid story. The younger generation of cast that they brought in, Hayden Panettiere, Emma Roberts, Rory Culkin, they do a phenomenal job of holding their own up against these veterans of these, who have already done 4 movies.
yeah, Scream 4 is my second favorite in the franchise.
Behind the first one, I assume?
Behind the first one.
Yeah.
Scream 3 I think is god awful. But everything, like I said, after 2 in the Saw franchise is god awful. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
But
think
Saw 3 or Scream 3 does get us Jay and Silent Bob.
it does get us Jay and Silent Bob. All right, so Scream will move on
Yes.
in eternity. All right, next we got. I like this one. I've been waiting for this one.
See, that's what I'm saying. You had a chance to mentally prepare.
I don't know
by,
what I'm gonna pick though.
You had a chance to mentally prepare by writing all this shit down.
We're gonna do Trey Parker and Matt Stone films. They're gonna fight each other.
Orgasmo.
Nope. Team America: World Police versus South Park: Bigger, Longer, and Uncut.
Team America.
Fuck yeah.
I'll save South Park because I haven't seen either of them, but I've at least seen parts of the TV show.
I like how you're.
That's That's my argument, is that I'm going to save Team America because we have the South Park TV show.
True.
I have 20 seasons of South Park I can watch. I only have one film of Team America. And it has the best sex scene ever.
Wow.
We'll do an episode on sex scenes sometime, but Team America's
No, we won't.
number one.
No, we
Team
won't.
America.
We should.
Puppets.
You want to do a whole episode on sex scenes?
Just to hear my argument for
Yeah. Pretty much.
Okay, so one of my go-tos is the reason why I would say for a Team America is even outside of the fact that this movie is absolutely hilarious. Like when you never before, I mean, really in terms of like a major motion picture, have you ever really seen in terms of marionettes? You definitely
for the
haven't
entire movie.
for the entire movie. You definitely have not seen it since then. And that fucking soundtrack.
Both have great soundtracks, though.
I don't care.
South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut was nominated for an Oscar because of one of its songs.
I don't care. Freaking the soundtrack for Team America.
I think it is a better soundtrack. What's your favorite song?
Between them spoofing Rent, spoofing freaking Johnny Cash with the little version of Fuck Yeah. Just no. Like the Team America soundtrack, even had watched the movie, I bought that shit on iTunes when it came out because that soundtrack was just phenomenal. It was fitting to the movie, and you fuck Matt Damon and
we have quoted this movie like every episode.
right?
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
So Team America, World Police moves on forever and ever.
What was the movie? What were they trying to? Oh, The Day After Tomorrow, wasn't it? The Team America was the result of something they wanted to do in marionette style that was basically a remake, and they got denied. So Team America is what was the result.
Oh, I have no idea. I'd have to look that up.
Yeah, I want to say it was The Day After Tomorrow. But
They make fun of Day After Tomorrow in South Park, though.
They make fun of everybody in fucking South Park.
All right, what do we got for the next one?
We got Almost Famous versus Dazed and Confused. I have seen both of these movies thanks to Brie, so
You can blame Brie.
otherwise I wouldn't have watched them.
So, is it just because you don't like 70s period movies, or what was it about these movies that said I don't have any inclination, but the other half made you do it?
I probably just really never heard of them, I'd say. Might be my guess.
So what are your thoughts on them then?
Me personally?
No, Chris.
Oh, yeah. What are your thoughts?
I like both of them. They're real good.
But here's the question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
talk,
one do you
question.
keep?
yeah, talk into your mic so people can hear you.
Which one do you keep?
I'd probably say Dazed and Confused because of Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, he's super creepy in that movie.
Yeah, he is.
And they gave him his catchphrase.
That is his catchphrase, forever and eternity. Cameron Crowe versus Richard Linklater.
Linklater.
It's really Cameron Crowe's only good movie, almost.
Almost famous.
Famous?
Was he almost famous because of that? Honestly, I'm gonna go with Almost Famous. Again, the overall cast of that movie and the if you ever get the opportunity to watch that director's cut, the bootleg version, it makes it so much better.
I'll need to watch. I love Almost Famous.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to check that. Jason Lee is in this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jason Lee's right. Everybody in the. This is where my argument's going to eventually go to. But Almost Famous, I think, has the better cast and like better acted performances. But I'm going to go Dazed and Confused because it's just a better overall film. Endlessly rewatchable. So many quotes from this movie. Ben Affleck is just an asshole.
Yes, he is.
In the best way. And I think Dazed and Confused, that soundtrack alone.
Well, the thing with Dazed and Confused, though, is the soundtrack is... In that kind of movie, the soundtrack's too easy. You can put together a good, solid soundtrack when you're talking about a movie that's based 20 years before it. Your catalog of available songs to be able to put a stellar soundtrack together. I mean, it's like, for example, like when Gunn has put together the soundtracks for Guardians of the Galaxy. He he's had the time to be able to ingest those to be able to put something solid together.
But what makes even that Guardians and Dazed and Confused is where they use the songs. Any movie can throw in a famous song from the 70s or 80s.
Captain Marvel.
Really didn't work in that. So yeah, it's where you put those songs. And Dazed and Confused uses it perfectly. And yeah, that's my pick. Dazed and Confused. I think even looking at that film, it was made in the 90s, set in the 70s. Still, everything about that movie is still timely to this day. So, I don't know who picked that one.
I did.
You did. So, Brian, we are down to our last 5 or 6 here.
All right. We're totally screwed, I think, Chris. The 1968 version of Planet of the Apes versus Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which I assume you mean the remake, basically. Like the James Franco.
It is the second one.
Oh, the second one, yeah, right.
But I guess let's pit let's pit Planet of the Apes, the 68 version versus the 3 that we got. The Andy Serkis trilogy.
The Andy Serkis trilogy.
I guess I don't know what else. The Caesar trilogy.
That one's easy for me.
Caesar?
Yeah. I really like that trilogy a lot.
Well, and Andy Serkis literally kills it. I mean, he's the reason why mocap actors need to get more recognition as actors and not just mocap. Like, it's fucking Andy Serkis. Like, I can't take away from Charlton Heston because, you know, they're good, solid movies, and for the time in which they were made, they were legit ahead of their time. To have them looking as good as they were, but fucking Andy Serkis.
So you're going with the reboot trilogy?
I'm going with the reboots. Well, and even then, I don't necessarily. I can't even necessarily even call them reboots. I guess call them, you know, in the same vein of like West Side Story, in that, you know, even if you don't even, you know, because most people have forgotten about the Tim Burton one.
Trash.
Thankfully.
Right. And so this new version of the trilogy, the Andy Serkis Caesar Planet of the Apes, is for those who have no idea the Planet of the Apes was even a thing.
Yeah, I guess my choice is mute, but I would go with the original Charlton Heston version. I love this.
Because you like him yelling, "You damn dirty ape!"
Damn dirty apes.
Yeah, because that's not racist these days.
And you're the one that went there. But I still think that original film holds up to this date. That original story from Rod Serling is perfect, and I mean, but that's taking nothing away from this trilogy. I think this trilogy is one of the best of all time, and I kind of hope it ends here. But I want to see it go on.
You wanted to see it to keep you. Well, you're like,
it's very much like Toy Story. I'm like, I wish it would have ended at 3, but I'm like, I'm curious to see where they go.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, so the reboot trilogy of Planet of the Apes will move on.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's where I look at Toy Story 4 and going, you can't do it again. I'd be curious if they tried, but you could, you know, if they could pull it off, but...
All right, we got a couple of John Hughes movies here.
Is he old enough for John Hughes movies?
I love The Breakfast Club.
Okay,
Well,
good.
That's my number one.
Well, then I think we know his answer to one of these. Breakfast Club versus Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Look at that. You're like,
Oh yeah, this is easy. Like literally, Breakfast Club is my number one movie all time.
what makes you like The Breakfast Club?
Simple plot that you can relate to with more than one character, I would say.
Who's your character? Anthony Michael Hall.
Well,
A mix of Anthony Michael Hall and Ali Sheedy.
Maybe. I feel like I can relate to all of them except for Molly Ringwald's character.
Were you into sports? Were you in a little bit of Emilio Estevez too?
Yeah, I played baseball, so
Yeah,
wasn't good.
I was
but-
not the sports guy.
You're not Emilio.
I was not Emilio.
So we got one choice or one pick for Breakfast Club from Chris.
Okay, what about you there, Casey?
Mine's pretty easy. Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Deciding vote here.
Yeah, so my very much like his, I feel like I can relate to a character in Ferris Bueller's Day Off more than most characters.
And it's not Mia Sarah, and it's not Ferris
And
Bueller.
it's not Ferris Bueller. It is Cameron.
you can relate to Cameron.
I relate to him the most. And
Did you ever take your dad's Ferrari and put it out the back of the?
I kind of wish I did. My dad never had a Ferrari. No. But no, that is actually like it's weird because he's your secondary character and he has the arc in the movie. Ferris doesn't go through any arc. He's still the same suave, swarmy guy.
He doesn't need an arc.
No, he doesn't.
He's fucking Ferris Bueller.
And I think that's what makes Ferris Bueller's Day Off perfect is that he is the main character, but he doesn't have the arc. His best friend, the side character.
Okay, I'm gonna throw this out here for you. I already have my answer, but I'm gonna throw this out here for you. Does the Jeffrey Jones put any sort of spin on your likeness of this movie?
No. I know where you're going with it.
Yup.
No. It almost makes him more creepy.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially
He's
from the
He's chasing a high school kid.
Because you do know what I'm referring to there.
The vice principal.
I am, unfortunately.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Both have great authority figures, like as villains in both of these movies.
They do, but there's something. Again, I go with the creepiness, especially the interaction between Jeffrey Jones and Jennifer Grey.
That's one thing I never liked in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. His younger sister looks a lot older than he does.
Well, it was also the 80s. Nobody looked like they should have been in high school.
No.
Everybody looked like they had been held back for 12 years. And
with the rate Ferris skipped school, he probably was.
yeah. So on that note, though, as much as I absolutely love both these movies, I'm a huge nerd for Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So I have to go with Bueller.
Bueller.
But that is not my number one.
John Hughes movie?
No.
No, what is?
Weird Science.
Weird Science.
Fucking Weird Science.
All right.
What, did you run out of paper, so you're just keeping the notes?
Yeah, I'm just keeping. All right, what do we got next? Who's up? I don't know.
I don't know.
Just draw.
Just draw. Baseball movies.
Baseball.
All right, Mr. Iowa. Field of Dreams versus Moneyball.
Ooh.
Another sports movie, I think rematch maybe. I don't know if we had these two pitted against each other.
Go to the notes.
Field of Dreams is mine.
We need to keep
Yeah.
notes.
Yeah, Field of Dreams. Well, Field of Dreams was our number one overall, so it won in that.
Yeah, Field of Dreams. Are you sad that they canceled it in Faywick Park this weekend?
I couldn't make it anyway, but
Did you see what's next weekend?
yes, Karate Kid.
Karate Kid. And I could totally make that.
Yeah. All right.
I
Chris,
really,
you're gonna-
really like Moneyball. I really do. I think it deserves a lot more praise than it ever got.
And Jonah Hill.
Yeah, he's great. But
Jonah got nominated for that movie, didn't he?
Did he? I'll look it up.
I think so.
I think that's where he got his supporting nomination because it was. I don't think it was for Wolf of Wall Street. I think it was for Moneyball.
But yeah, I'm gonna go Field of Dreams too. I think it is a.
Well,
Yeah.
Mr. Iowa, of course you
I
are.
have to. That's all we have. I have to keep it. Without Field of Dreams, we
Ah.
have nothing.
He got him for both Moneyball and Wolf of
Oh.
Wall Street.
Hey, look at that.
All
Didn't
right.
win.
I have seen and I have Wolf of Wall Street, and I was showing my mother YouTube TV, and I don't know what channel Wolf of Wall Street was. And I was like, how the hell can you put that on television? It literally holds the record for amount of F-bombs in a movie at over 500.
Like sex scenes.
How do you put
A
that?
lot of blurring out and blurping out stuff.
No, definitely blurping.
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 Let's blurp on to our next Schmuck's choice.
Schmuck and a pancake.
Footloose versus Dirty Dancing.
Ooh,
I like this one.
couple of 80s
Okay, well that answers my question.
dance films.
That answers my questions. Are we gonna go with the originals versus the originals, or the remake versus the stupid
The
sequel?
sequel,
The-
Havana Nights.
Havana Nights.
I've never seen it. And the remake of Footloose is not that bad.
I've seen bits and pieces, and
It's actually not-
I was not.
It's not terrible.
It was not exactly.
It's also not the Kevin Bacon version.
It is not Kevin Bacon
Whoever
because
that kid, I don't know where that kid went after that movie.
Kevin Bacon is
Everything.
Kevin Bacon is. There's a reason
Ooh,
why.
this is a tough one though. It's Kevin Bacon versus Patrick Swayze. Though.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I have to go with the Sways.
You're going to go with Dirty Dancing.
I'm going with the Sways. Dirty Dancing was actually one of my favorites as a kid. Between number one and just just a good movie overall. Patrick Swayze, Jennifer Grey are absolutely amazing. As a kid, I nerded out over that soundtrack. I played the shit out of them. I had them on tape. There was actually 2 soundtracks that they came out, and I played the shit out of them until they broke.
So you know all the Patrick Swayze moves.
I don't have. I might know the moves, but I sure as hell can't do them.
Oh.
Between Dirty Dancing and Cocktail, those were my two soundtracks as a kid. The Cocktail soundtrack.
All right, I'm gonna go with Footloose.
Oh, you're gonna put this on Chris?
Yeah, I'm gonna
I
put
think
it
you
on
did
Chris.
that on purpose.
Yes and no, but I always would have gone with Footloose because, like Brian said, you grew up with both of these movies. I did too. My mom was a huge fan of these two movies, and she always had them on, so we always watched them. But the one I would rewatch on my own very often was Footloose. I think it has I would say for guys it maybe has a more accessible story because it does follow the main character is a male character, but that takes nothing away from, Jennifer Grey and Patrick Swayze in Dirty Dancing. But yeah, I gotta go with
John Lithgow, Dennis Quaid.
John Lithgow.
Okay, just checking.
I was trying to remember who played the dad in the remake. It was Dennis Quaid.
It was Dennis Quaid.
Yeah, John Lithgow was great in Footloose.
I'm going Footloose, but my question is, let's pick a song. The Footloose song or the Dirty Dancing song?
You gotta be more specific for Dirty Dancing. It's like known for like 6.
Time of My Life.
Time of My Life.
Oh, easy. Time of my. But and again, I also picked Dirty Dancing though too.
Yeah, I'd probably pick Time of My Life.
It is a better song,
Yeah.
but you can't go wrong with any Kenny Loggins song.
No, especially any Kenny Loggins song from the 80s.
Yes. But Footloose, we'll move on. Beating out the Swayze in Field of Dreams. All right, we got 2 left, I think. Uh-oh. Here's one that we talked about last week, Brian.
Son of a bitch.
So we got some Pixar movies. Up versus Wall-E.
Oh, son of a bitch. God damn it.
2 of the
Right?
top tier Pixar movies.
I'm gonna let Chris chew on this one here for a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think, Chris?
Well, I got one question before I pick. We're doing a director's one, right? Eventually.
Yes.
Yeah, at some point, yeah. He's already got them made
Okay,
up.
so whenever we do that, I want a Pete Docter versus Andrew Stanton Pixar. Whenever we do that. But, okay, for these
You
two.
may want to go write that one down.
For these two, I think my pick would change day by day. And so today, my pick is Wall-E. Because I really want to rewatch Wall-E right now. I just watched Finding Nemo this weekend. I want to watch Wall-E now. Really, I'm going to pick Wall-E.
Wall-E, huh?
Wall-E.
What is it about Wall-E? Is it the social commentary? Is it
I do like the social
the
commentary.
love story of a couple of robots?
Yes, I like the that song they use from the movie that Wall-E plays.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that use of it, and I like the use of like almost no talking from human characters throughout the whole movie.
Or just barely any like dialogue period.
Exactly, I really like that in that movie.
Could you imagine the work that the animators had to go through, not having dialogue to try to be able to create emotion with no dialogue?
And they did it
They did it well.
greatly. Mm-hmm. That's my pick, Wall-E.
Wall-E. So, Brian, do you have a pick? Or do you want me to go?
I want you to
You
go.
want me to go? Well, it's going to fall back on you because I'm going Up. That first 10 minutes of Up, or 5 minutes, whatever, that first sequence, it's going to just crush you every time you
Yes,
watch
it is.
Yes.
Every single time. But then the film that happens after that prologue, I think, is just as strong. Again, the relationship between Mr. Fredrickson and... What's the kid's name again? We just talked about it.
Chinese kid.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. Anyway,
Wow.
their relationship is great. It's perfect. And Mr. Fredrickson's arc is one of the best in all of Pixar. So I'll go with Up.
Russell.
Russell.
That's
Oh,
the kid.
Russell is such a nice little man. And yeah, and I do have to go with Up because where I do agree with Chris that, there's so much that is said with Wall-E without any dialogue whatsoever. It takes us the entire span of the hour and a half ish that movie is. And you can pretty much get that same emotion in the first 10 minutes of Up. So
So Up. We'll move on. Forever. Wall-E is gone, at least for another 10 minutes.
I'm all right with that.
All right, so
He's like, I can still watch it when I get home.
Yeah.
whee! There goes the hat because we're down to one. This is the final film in Schmuck's Choice, Part 2. What is it, Brian?
I think it's actually kind of funny to have this be the last one, too.
All right. I don't know what it is.
You wrote these.
I know, but I don't know I don't remember what's left.
He's
There's
like,
been 50 options so far.
All right. So, the Harry Potter... I'm going to go with saga, not series. The Harry Potter saga versus the Middle-earth films.
Fuck. It's the Wizarding World.
The Wizarding
So
World...
we're going the 8 Harry Potter films. We're not counting Fantastic Beasts.
Everything in... So, Middle-earth will count The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
6 films.
Harry Potter will be all the Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts.
10. Okay.
So then you got 10 versus 6.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be much of a choice here because I've only watched one of these series.
So he's going to go with Middle-earth.
Yeah, Middle-earth will be my pick.
I feel like I have to go with the Middle Earth ones. Because Lord of the Rings is my shit. I got the extended edition.
Yeah, so do I.
Both of them.
That's how I watched them for the first
Yeah.
time. That's not the best way to watch it for the first time.
Not concerning the fact that just the Lord of the Rings would take you 12 hours to get through all 3 movies.
Yeah, no shit. Now you try to watch them all back to back.
I do that.
Did you
every
forget
year.
to look at the runtime before you started this?
No, my friends like always talked about Lord of the Rings. Like, you need to watch it, so he let me borrow it. But they're like, you have to watch the extended cut.
Uh-huh.
So I'm sitting there watching fucking 4 hours of each of these movies. I'm like, oh my god, this is so much.
Well, you do.
So if I go back and rewatch it, I'm
Return
not
the
gonna
King's
watch.
like 4.5.
Yeah. But the Middle Earth films. Hobbits aren't that great.
No, they're not.
They're pretty bad.
I think the second one's good,
I agree.
but the third one's trash. So
So you're literally going to pit 3 movies, or 6 movies, against 10 movies, and you just called half of them trash.
Because the other
But-
3 are fantastic,
uh-huh.
including a Best Picture winner.
I would say that trilogy's the best trilogy ever made.
We need to have a trilogy fight at some point.
Trilogy fight.
I think that's got to be on the radar at some point.
So Back to the Future for the win. I gotcha.
Evil Dead. Yeah, see, we're all going to have
No.
different answers. It'll be fun. All right, so Brian,
It doesn't matter anyway.
What's your
what
pick?
would be your pick?
Honestly, I mean, just overall, out of all of them, for the amount of emotional investment I guess I've had in them and whatnot, because I enjoy the Lord of the Rings ones. One of these days, I'll actually get around to actually watching my Hobbit movies. Which, by the sounds of it here, probably not going to be high on my list the way you guys are talking about them.
You
I
could
think-
just watch Desolation of Smog. Just start with that and end with that.
I'm pretty sure the plastic wrap is still in my DVD case for that. And I've had that for like 4 years, I think.
Is that just because of Benedict Cumberbatch playing
He's really good.
He is good.
as a dragon?
I think that's the only reason to watch that trilogy.
Yeah.
But I mean, the one thing I absolutely appreciate about the Harry Potter series is that you can obviously tell, like, I mean, obviously with that, it definitely has its highs and lows, but, you know, every series has got that. Obviously, you make that exact same reference to with Middle Earth. But, you know, like, you've got, like, the first couple are Chris Columbus, Alfonso Cuarón, what?
Mike Newell.
Yeah, he did one.
Yeah, he did. Well, he did Prisoner of Azkaban, and then was Noel was the next one, and then everything else was David Yates, and like, you know, you tonally look at him, and you can definitely tell like the David Yates ones are completely different than like the Chris Columbus ones, but at the same time too, those particular directors worked for those, you know, like introducing Harry Potter and using Chris Columbus because he's more of the kind of style
family.
the fan, you know, whatever. And the David Yates ones were a lot darker and everything like that. But at the same time, too, those who have read the books, you know, especially for how long it took for all these books to be written and whatnot, they're fucking dark by the end of it. And you couldn't have Chris Columbus just do all in these movies because the last movies would not have worked. Mm-hmm. So I think that, you know, the way they did progress, I think was a beautiful, and to be able to grow up with all these kids, I think the only It only had one character that got recast because he kind of got himself in trouble and arrested and stuff. And that was one of Draco's kids.
So what is your pick then, Brian?
Well, I would
Harry Potter.
Yeah, Harry Potter, but I'm gonna lose anyway. So
You lost it. It's gone forever. So Harry Potter is gone. We get to keep the Middle Earth films. I think I feel pretty confident in all these. I think they were fun choices.
couple.
A lot of horror ones.
Well, of course, because you're the one who put the list together.
I didn't write all of these. Anyway,
Who wrote them? Because I didn't.
Chris did some.
Oh,
Yeah,
did
I
you?
did a few.
Oh, my bad.
A long time ago.
My bad, Chris. I guess it has been a while since.
It's been a long
Brian
time.
didn't do his homework. But he has homework now to watch some of these movies.
Yes.
Come on, Brian.
Yeah, I've got a few to watch.
A few.
Just a couple.
Yeah, so if you guys were listening along, let us know some of your picks for these choices. What was your favorite versus fight? How much do you hate us for pitting Clerks versus Bill and Ted? Let us know.
To be like, who cares about Clerks and Bill and Ted?
Yeah, that's probably true. All right, we got to jump to some of our plugs for stuff we got going on here at Backlot 605. Coming up this week, you can look for these reviews and articles on our site, backlot605.com. Those articles include Andy Erickson's review of Toy Story 4, Jameson Feifel's review of Brightburn, and I think he's doing a review for Ma as well, the Octavia Spencer film. I am working on a couple reviews, including the Adam Sandler modern classic that will be Murder Mystery. It was god-awful. Spoiler alert.
Dun dun dun.
And I am also working on a Child's Play ranking that will not include the remake because I'm not going to watch it. Anyone else got anything else coming soon? Any articles you guys are working on?
I don't have a-
And as I'm sitting here with blank stares.
I don't have a concrete idea. I think I might write something Toy Story.
Toy Story related?
Well, I was the same. Being said, we've got Andy pumping this out here. Retrospective of the other three, I think would be a really good, solid to
Or
go along
best
with.
Toy Story villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zurg.
Zurg. Zurg.
Or
Throw
Sid.
me the ball, Dad.
Oh, we talked about that last week. I love Toy Story 2.
Oh yeah,
It's such a good movie.
Oh, agreed.
I think we geeked out on that probably the most.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just the little Zurg moments in Toy Story 2. Anyway, be on the lookout for coming soon every Thursday on backlot605.com. Also, check us out on TeePublic. That is where you can find some of our merch, stickers, T-shirts, all that fun stuff. You can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, and YouTube. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. While you're on Facebook, please check out the group, the Sioux Falls Film Community Group. Now, I just posted a big 50 film challenge on there. So if you guys want to fill out a big 50 film challenge, it'll take a little time to fill it all out. But I don't know, it's fun, and it lets you know a little bit more about everybody else that's on that Facebook group. What else we got going on here? We have a new group that I want to plug. It's called the South Dakota Film Actors. They're a couple group of guys and gals here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota that they get together, they do a bit of workshopping, do some script reading. They are also working on some short films together. I will drop a link to that on our website as well as all our social media pages so you can check those out. But basically you can check them out on meetup.com. They're the South Dakota Minneapolis Film Actors, so check them out on Meetup, and you can find a link to that in the Sioux Falls Film Community Group right now. And we got to plug one more thing.
What are we plugging?
We're going to plug The Fat Dude.
We're gonna plug the fat dude.
Fat Dude Digs Flicks with Andy. So you got to check that out. And you know, want to know why?
Because he plugs us.
Because he does plug us. And thank you for doing that, Andy.
We like you, Andy.
We love The Fat Dude, and you know why we're going to love him even more? Because we're finally getting the crossover we've all been waiting for.
What is
Live in studio next week is The Fat Dude.
the fat dude would be here?
He will be here because we're going to discuss cult movies. So movies that have cults.
Yeah, be specific.
Yes, I said it last week, but it is not your Rocky Horror Picture Show. It is more of cults like Charles Manson, that type of cult. So that's what we're going to be looking at in honor of Midsummer.
So, just out of curiosity, when we do this here, are we gonna have a grill out?
Not for anyone listening, I guess.
Well, no, because I'm just asking because I just want to know that if you're bringing Kool-Aid, I'm not drinking it.
Oh, I will definitely bring Kool-Aid for everyone. So,
I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid.
Please drink the Kool-Aid next week. We're going to bring it to you. That is next week, Cult Movies. We'll be there with the fat dude, so be on the lookout for that. Anything else we got to plug? I think that was it.
No, I think you're good. I think you're rocking it pretty much there.
Rocking it.
Rocking like the free bird.
All right, so that's it. That's been the show. Chris, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Are you excited for director's Schmuck's Choice?
I am.
Yeah.
More excited for Spider-Man, but,
you know.
But it's Spider-Man.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that next week on the show, what we got coming up for Spider-Man. But Brian, this has been the Backlot 605 podcast.
It has been the podcast.
It has been.
It has been.
So until next week, we'll see you on the Backlot of South Dakota.
Nerd.